Hello, you guys. This is Politic Graham. We're doing it a little off, a lot off schedule. Okay, but I apologize. I apologize. Today is the day we're going to have a discussion on politics, and as you can see, the topics for today, November the 27th, will be about. And thank you for coming in. It will be about, yes. Why did I title what I titled Trump versus Diddy acts? Okay, because the topic today is what is going on with these nominations, these picks. Hello, Art of War. Thank you for coming in. Good morning. Art of War says, good morning, news lady. Good morning. Yes. I had to get myself together. So yesterday we talked about Diddy. And today we're going to talk about actual Diddy acts in regards to the Trump administration, as far as the cabinet that he's picking. And I say that because, let me go down, or should I say go up? I say that because of what's been going on in regards to this gentleman. And the gentleman that you're looking at, I'm going to be professional. The gentleman that you're looking at is Pete Hegseth, if I'm saying his name right. He is Donald Trump's nomination. Okay, and thank you guys for coming in. He is Donald Trump's nomination for Defense, Secretary of Defense. Okay, and I want people to understand when it comes down. And let me go before I do it. I want to actually make sure I read the quote unquote, read the fair use copyright disclaimer. Okay, before we get into it. And hello, Tracy. Tracy says, "Hey, I'm here driving and listening." Oh, Tracy. Oh God. Oh boy, Tracy, get ready. It's gonna be a bumpy ride now. Don't get in no accident. Don't get in no accident, Tracy. Okay. Art of War says, "Hey, Tracy Talks." And thank you guys for coming in. I'm gonna try to be very impartial. I do not want to make it seem like I'm taking sides. I want to be very fair and very, impartial about Trump. Okay, as far as, a lot of things, because people tend to think that I'm taking sides, but I'm not. I'm gonna try to be fair. Okay, and the fair use copyright, I'm gonna read it just to cover ourselves. Fair use copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Now, I have to read this, guys, because of the topics that we're going to talk about today, because I do not want AKA Fox News coming for me. Okay, why do I say that? Because the topics we're going to be talking about is Trump cases are just being dropped. Okay, that's the first thing. Like, I don't know, where people are just getting scared. They're getting scared. Okay, Democrats are resigning. Okay, people are just in fear. So the first topic is Trump cases drop. Next topic is Democrats fear resignation and federal charges. Trump, and after that, the topic we'll talk about is Trump new administration. Is Trump new administration called the Fox News administration? And then last but not least, we'll have discussion on Trump picks. Okay, Pete Hegseth and Pam Bondi. Okay, controversies. Okay, yes. Yes. Tracy says, "Oh snap." And thank you so much for coming in. And last but not least, I always have a quote, okay? And today's quote will be by the basketball coach of South Carolina, okay? Women's basketball team. Her name is Dawn Stanley, and she says, wherever you go, your genius is gonna follow you. That is the quote for today. Wherever you go, your genius is gonna follow you. Okay, now let's get to the nitty gritty. Okay, now when it comes down to why I say Trump cases are being dropped, okay, for those who don't know, recently in the news, and we're going to talk about it in regards to, quote unquote, this gentleman right here. When it comes down to Jack Smith, the prosecutor, okay, for cases against Trump. Now, for those that don't know, he was a special prosecutor that was appointed, all right? He was specifically appointed to do the job of I'm just going to be fair, just to basically just get Donald Trump out, okay? Not trying to be funny, but that was supposed to be his specific job. And he was working on 2 cases in 2 states, okay? One in Florida, okay? The next one in Washington, D.C. Now, when it came down to the Florida case, this particular Judge Cannon, okay, and she was appointed by Donald Trump. And please do not keep, quote unquote, spamming this channel. Please don't keep doing that. Please do not keep spamming this channel. Okay? Now, when it comes down to Jack Smith, okay, it's just going chaotic for him. Why? Because now he's in a bind. Why? Because both of his cases in Florida, for one, that was the first case that was dropped. Why? Because the Judge Cannon, who was appointed by Donald Trump, yes, she was appointed by Donald Trump in the year of 2020, okay? What are the odds, okay, that she ended up dismissing the Florida case against Trump? Okay, and in regards to the case that was against Trump in Florida, Trump had faced 40 federal charges, okay, in Florida over his alleged handling of sensitive materials seized from his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, after leaving the White House in January of 2021. He was also accused of obstructing efforts by federal authorities to retrieve them. Okay, and just like I stated, long story short, Judge Cannon, she dismissed these charges. She dismissed all of these charges. Okay, in her dismissal of these charges back in July the 15th, Cannon noted that there was no constitutional backing for appointing Smith, a private citizen, as Department of Justice special counsel in charge of all Donald Trump's federal indictments. And hello, Inner Beauty Blessings. Thank you for coming in. I'm so happy that you came in. Okay, blessings to you. Now, that's the long story short. Now, I will say this, Judge Cannon, we got to talk about her. Why? Because there has been rumors going around in regards to, will she be the next, quote unquote, attorney general? Okay, attorney general in the state of Florida. Will she be the next? Why? Because some people, look, I'm gonna just put it out there. Some people are saying because she looked out for Donald Trump, okay, allegedly. Some people are speculating because she did this for Donald Trump that she could be the next attorney general in the state of Florida, right? Because had not she dismissed this huge 40 federal charges against Donald Trump, okay, that Jack Smith, this guy, had put on Donald Trump, okay, Donald Trump would be in a lot of heat, okay? So I really feel, I'm just going to be honest, you guys, I really feel Donald Trump owes this woman a lot. Even more, in my opinion, I feel he owes this woman more than he owes a number of these nominations that he has recently picked in his cabinet in the president. I'm just going to be honest, and we'll talk about why I say that. Who are these people recently that he's picked in his office, okay, for his second term. We'll talk about that. And thank you guys for coming in. Now, when it comes down to Jack Smith, he tried to appeal this dismissal that happened in Florida, right? He put in an appeal, and we're going to move forward with the Washington, D.C. case, okay? And that, as you know, that made headlines in regards to, okay, recently, November the 25th, this week, he asked, and this is wild, he asked the judge of Washington, D.C., okay, Judge Tanya. He asked Judge Tanya to toss the case due to a long-standing Justice Department policy that bars the prosecution of a sitting president. And I'm going to highlight that. Okay, why? Because we have to remember what the Supreme Court of Justices, okay, implemented, what they mentioned, okay. All of this is coming to connect, right? Because there's a thing called supremacy clause, in the sense that, okay, you cannot, quote unquote, and this is how Fani Willis in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, this is what's going to mess her up. You cannot hold an active president, okay? You cannot hold an active president, okay, accountable of anything, okay, because when they are the president, they are immune, okay? There's a thing called immunity, right? And that is the short, for people who don't know as far as the politics go, keeping it very brief so we can just break it down and just keep it straight to the point. That is the gist of why Jack Smith ended up asking Judge Tanya of Washington, D.C. to toss out the case in Washington, D.C. due to long-standing Justice Department policy that bars the prosecution of a sitting president. And I want Fani Willis to know that, right? Because now, how does all this come about? What's going to happen? Because now in the position, you have Washington, D.C., you have Florida, you have Georgia, you have New York. These are the four states that had, quote unquote, cases against Trump, right? And the only state that actually went through with their indictment, with their conviction, is the state of New York. And in regards to the state of New York, I want people to understand that has been put at a halt. Why? Because when it comes down to the sentencing, that has been put at a halt. Okay? Why? Because look what Jack Smith put in his reason of tossing out his case. Okay? The policy, the Justice Department policy, bars the prosecution of a sitting president. And that is the situation that New York is in. That is the predicament that New York is in when it comes down to sentencing, okay? Because now, in the case of New York, and I'm going to stroll, in the case of New York, with him, this gentleman, this Judge Juan, okay, now he's in the predicament, and it was supposed to be a scheduled sentence yesterday. But guess what? There's no sentence for Donald Trump. There's no sentence, right? And in New York, he was found guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records for hush money payments made by a former adult entertainer named this lady here, Stormy Daniels. Okay, if you've seen her in a video online, shame on you, because I know what's on your mind. Okay, but when it comes down to this case, it's like been put at a halt. Because look at when it was supposed to be scheduled for sentencing against Mr. Trump. November the 26th. Has Donald Trump been sentenced? No. Everything has been put at a halt. Everything. Right? So now, at this particular point, and I want to say this, I got to talk about Stormy Daniels, right? I don't know if you guys heard about it, right? When this case was going on, they actually brought her, and I want you guys to help me understand it. Put it in the comments. They actually brought her on the podium, right, and testified. Do you know she broke down what happened in the room between her and Donald Trump? Like literally, she gave a physical like demonstration of what was going on allegedly, okay? And according to some of the details that she said, I'm going to be very careful with my words. She had one leg here and one leg there, and it was just like, what judge would allow this to even be spoken about, right? So it's this whole case just seemed a little chaos, right? When it came down to the prosecutors bringing in Stormy Daniels to testify against Donald Trump, right? Now, what is Donald Trump's response to Stormy Daniels and all this? Of course, he's not guilty. This is false. Now, moving forward, he was found guilty, but it just kind of threw me off. It kind of threw me off because I'm just going to give you a brief of Stormy Daniels, right? She testified that she slept with Trump in Nevada, in a Nevada hotel, and that he later paid her $150,000 so that she would not reveal, okay, anything during his 2016 presidential election. Now, my whole thing is this, right? My whole thing is this. This case made such a news, even during the Kamala Harris campaign. This is what they was talking about as far as him being quote unquote convicted of 34 felonies, like he's a convicted felony. Chase says, I can't even remember where I put my car keys every day. Hello, Chase. Thank you for coming in. Now, I will say when it comes down to Stormy Daniels, she was the quote unquote witness. You know, the main witness that caused, Donald Trump to lose this case, right? But look what all has happened on the forefront, right? They go through all of this, right? They go through all of this. And when I say they, okay, the prosecutors, okay, go through all of this. And for what? Donald Trump still has not been sentenced. He was supposed to be sentenced yesterday on the 26th. Still has not been sentenced. And I wanted to highlight this so you guys can see, okay, the judge, in regards to the judge, these are his options at this point since Donald Trump is the president now, right? He won't be officially in until January the 20th of next year, 2025. This is what they said the options are, okay, when it comes down to Judge Juan Merchan. Okay, they said the judge may either delay the sentencing, which I think they might be doing. Hello, OG Brand, what's up? Hello. OG Brand says, hey, everyone, in you silly rabbit. Chase says, if you're wondering if I played ball, I did. Cal State, California. Chase, what are you talking about? Now, when it comes down to Judge Juan Merchan, these are his options. And I think he's kind of, his hands are tied. But his options are he can wait either to sentence Donald Trump sentencing until 2029. Yes, 2029, ladies and gentlemen. Or impose a sentence now. I don't think he's going to do that. Because if he was going to sentence him now, he should have did it yesterday. And also they said if the sentence includes a period of incarceration, it will be stayed until Trump has exhausted his appeals. OG Brand says, these judges be trying to eat chicken Alfredo in the break room, but I do love me some chicken Alfredo. If you happy and you know it, then clap your hands. Now, this is what I want people to understand. This is like a game. I really feel that. Like what OG Brand said, like if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. I feel that this is nothing but a game. Why? Because at the end of the day, Trump is still not locked up. He's not going to be sentenced, right? He has the Supreme Court of Justice. Justice is backing him up, when it comes down to the supremacy clause that state that an active president is immune, okay, holds immunity just like a police officer, right? Okay, so this is where we are right now. So I don't think they are going to. I don't think he's going to get sentenced. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, and I want people to understand. By the time Donald Trump get out of his position as president, he will be 82 years old. 82, right? So I want people to understand, like, this is just a waste, And then to top it all off, all of these cases, I want people to understand this. Donald Trump was facing a total of 91 felony counts. 91 felony accounts. And this is the dilemma that we're in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the dilemma. And OG Brand says, politic, right? Yes. And OG Brand says, Donald Trump is not going nowhere. He's a gingerbread man. Let me pin that. Donald Trump is not going anywhere. He's a gingerbread man. I like to eat apples and bananas, he says. And see, this is what I want people to understand. You know, you have to open up your eyes and don't fall into the game. And I think that is what a lot of people are doing right now. And then what is Donald Trump doing? He is, as they say, he's just, dancing. Just like I would say this. He's dancing, right? He's dancing just like he did at a rally for 30 minutes. When everybody's like, oh, why he's not speaking? Because he knew this time was coming. Why? Because people was not focusing on the points they should have been focusing on, which are what is going on when it comes down to this inflation here in America. What is going on when it comes down to health insurance? What is going on when it comes down to people making a decision? Do I eat today or do I pay a bill pay a bill? Right? But when I say people were so focused on the wrong thing as far as getting Donald Trump locked up, okay? And when I say people, I'm going to be honest. We got to put it out there. We got to put out these, some people when it comes down to Democrats. We got to put it out there. I'm not saying all of them. No, I'm not. But we have to be very fair. And hello, Gregory. Gregory says, who elected a 40-year-old can of as president? Wellness. Hello, Wellness. Thank you for coming in, Wellness. Thank you so much, Wellness. Wellness with Frugal Mama says, hello. Thank you for coming in. Now, we're talking about Donald Trump, okay, and his case is being dropped, okay? That is one of the topics that we're talking about today, because we have to look at all what's been coming, because even the case that he was found guilty of all 34 charges in New York, okay, in regards to the quote unquote hush money payments made to an adult entertainer named Stormy Daniels, this lady right here, right? Everything's been put at a halt. It's been put at a halt with the sentencing in New York. Right? It's been put at a halt when it comes down to the cases in Washington, D.C. And then to top it all off, the Florida case was dismissed by the same judge that he had appointed. Donald Trump appointed this lady, Judge Aileen Cannon. Right? Appointed. So of course she's gonna dismiss it. What? That's my daddy. I'm standing by my daddy. Donald Trump is my daddy. Got to. Are you insane? Are you insane? Hello, Dwight. Dwight says, God bless you and your thing. Same here, Dwight. Thank you for coming in. Now, Jack Smith, I feel that he is in a bind. Wellness with Frugal Mama says, hey, OG Brand, and greetings, everyone. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Gregory Stevens says, oldest president ever. The guy will be in a nursing home before he gets out of office. And watch this, Gregory. Watch this. Here's the question, Gregory. will he make it? Will he make it? Will Donald Trump finish that term? And is there another reason why he has picked certain people, specifically J.D. Vance, to be his vice president, a very young guy? Right? Because even Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, said it best. And hello, Pretty Macho Mom. Pretty Macho Mom says he will. Okay. See, my thing is this, Pretty Macho Mom, and thank you for coming in. Right? The way Donald Trump is picking people in his office, and I'll give him that. I can respect the fact that he is picking people that are not old. Right? He's preparing, right? He's preparing for the what ifs. And even with J.D. Vance, I'll say this, Pretty Macho Mom. I'll say this. Even with J.D. Vance, right? I can say this. He will never, quote unquote, run from a question like Kamala Harris did, right? He will never run from it. As a matter of fact, okay, J.D. Vance, during the campaigning, he actually tried to chase Kamala Harris, right? He actually tried to chase her, and she still avoided him, right? And this was at the airport, if I can remember, correct? Correct, Pretty much your mom? She says truth, right? And see, this is why I say, Donald Trump is picking certain people, in my opinion, for the what ifs. For the what ifs. Wellness with Frugal Mama says, cow. What is it? At old uncow, we don't play those type of games. Somebody said something, I didn't read it. Okay. And Pretty much your mom says, like he was the play. Guess what I'm saying? She ran. And see, this is why I said what I said. People are not focused on the real issues. The issues. And when I say the real issues, and this is why I feel Donald Trump, and I'm trying to be very fair, I'm trying not to be, but I got to be honest. This is why he put up these quote unquote 20 core promises known as the Agenda 49 or Agenda 47. This is why he put those 20 core promises up, right? Because it's like at the end of the day, where do you stand when it comes down to the policies? Now, we may disagree on some of these policies, right? People may disagree, but at least he had something down. At least he had some policies put down. Even with J.D. Vance, right? We already know what J.D. Vance, what is he? He is pro-life, right? Agenda 47. Thank you so much, pretty macho. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pretty Macho Mom. So we know when it comes down to certain things where they stand. But when it comes down to Kamala, right? Kamala has made people so upset with her. Even Joe Biden's wife, Jill Biden, she couldn't even look at him. I'm sorry. She couldn't even look at Kamala Harris on Veterans Day during the ceremony. She couldn't even look at Kamala Harris. And we have to be honest. OG Brand says, politic, Donald Trump, he missed his dog bone with honey mustard sauce. And see, this is what I want people to really kind of understand, where things are going today, right? Where are they really, really going? And I'll say this, okay? When it comes down to the values, or should I say the promises that Donald Trump has given. Now, do I agree on all of them? No, I don't agree with all of them, but who does? Who agrees with everything somebody says? Who does? But what I can say, one thing that I can say is when it comes down to Donald Trump's cases, these quote unquote cases that was put out like in New York, Washington, D.C., Florida, Georgia. Think about what's going on. And I specifically want to call the state of Georgia out. I want to call it out. A spade is a spade for what it is. All of these cases are either been dropped or been put at a halt. That is why I titled it Trump versus Diddy acts. Because all what is going on is nothing but a game. And it's nothing but a game to the point where people want to try to blame one person for everything that's been going on here in America. And Pretty Macho Mom says there is no reason to lie. They are proud of their policies and beliefs. Exactly. But see, the thing is, right? The thing is, where does the House of Congress, where do they stand on this, right? Where does the House of Congress stand on this? Because according to Donald Trump and his nominations, we have to understand with his nominations, they're going to have to be the ones to make the decision. Okay? Will these nominations, will they sign off on it? Right? Now, I'll be honest, yes, the House of Representatives, the House of Senate, yes, it's being controlled by the Republicans. Yes, they did win, okay? Yes, that's true. Yes, we have a Republican president for 47 president. Yes, that's true. But Donald Trump, I'm going to say this, right? And if you agree, you can hit a like, you can put your comments in the chat, like Pretty Macho Mom, like OG Brand, like Wellness with Frugal Mama, like Art of War. You can put your comments in the chat if you agree with what I'm about to say. Or hit a like or donate if you believe what I'm about to say. I believe at this particular point, for one, that Donald Trump, he's not going to get sentenced in anything at this point. Not during this term. Not for the next 4 years. I don't think he's going anywhere. Not as far as going to prison, going to jail. It's not going to happen. Right? I don't think that's going to happen. Wellness with Frugal Mama says, I love how some of these people ride for these people they don't know and who probably wouldn't ride for them. God bless America. And see, what are you talking about, Wellness Frugal? Hold on, let me pin this. What are you talking about? Fire Fountain says, never will. Pretty Macho says, according to the left, all Trump has to do is say a word. Like he did with the border bill. And Don, thank you for coming in. Don says the Supreme Court can make it disappear. And see, this is why, let's talk about Supreme Court, right? This is why people feel that some of the people in the Supreme Court of Justice need to be replaced, okay? Need to be replaced. Because they feel with the Supreme Court of Justices, had it not been for them, Donald Trump wouldn't be in the position where he's in now. Pretty Macho Mom says he shouldn't. He didn't do anything wrong. Now, I will say this. Donald Trump, I will say this. I will be fair, right? There are some things Donald Trump could have went about differently when it came down to how he said things. Right? Because Pretty Much Mom, now you know, come on now, right? And Wellness with Frugal Mama, okay, and James George, you guys know, OG Brand, Art of War, you guys know that had not Donald Trump said what he said, I don't want to get into too much detail because people to this day they still get upset with what happened January the 6th at Capitol Hill. Right? Had he not said what he said, there would be lives today. Really. Had he not said what he said, right? Because if you guys think I get too emotional, right? Imagine how a lot of those people were at Capitol Hill on January 6th, right? Angry, furious. How dare Joe Biden wins? How dare he? Right? So much. And people respect and still listen to Donald Trump, even to this day. So much. Donald Trump, all he had to do was say, what? Say a word. They went. Boom. Look what happened. Look what has happened. So much to the point, right? Even Donald Trump has done an interview. He's done it. He said it. He said, I can't put my children I cannot put my children in this administration. I cannot do it again. Because it affected not only, right, not only people of America, the citizens, it affected even his family. It affected even him because of his words. That's why you have to be careful what you say and how you say things and how you move, because you never know how it affects someone's life. And yes, I'm taking it there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm taking it there. I am taking it there. Now, does that mean Trump getting locked up? No. No. I'm still standing on that. He's not getting locked up this particular term. He's not. Tracy Talk says 174 people in the chat. Let's like the video for politics. She's working hard in this life. Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Tracy Talks. Please hit that like button. Please share. Please donate. Please subscribe. Right? And I'm going back into the comments. And thank you for the likes. Pretty much your mom says because of how they are treated. Logan says, have you ever watched the entire context of what Trump actually said on January 6th? Logan, let me break this down to you, Logan. Thank you for coming in. I'm not saying, okay, which I know what he said, but so many people get so upset, right? Because it's still politics, Logan, right? So many people are very passionate, more passionate than me. Like I stated, people's lives were lost, right? People's lives were lost because of the things that were said, because of how they took it. They took it a certain way, Logan, and you know it. They took it a certain way, and they took it and they went to the extreme with it. And I think January the 6th, Logan, we got to be honest, I think January the 6th, that was the day Donald Trump was very careful with how he said things. Don says, I'm all for holding people accountable. Hold Biden also. And that is why, I'm glad you mentioned that, Don. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is one of the reasons people are questioning if Donald Trump is going to pardon Joe Biden's son, Hunter. Let's look. Like I said, I call a spade, right? I call a spade. Now, I will say this with Donald Trump. I do believe that people are still angry with him. I do believe at this point moving forward, he will definitely have to have 10 times the security, okay, when he goes into office after January the 20th of next year. I do believe that. Tony says, no pardon, jail Hunter. Right? I do believe at this particular point in time, and that's why I want to be very careful with how I say things. I do believe Trump is not going, he's not going to get locked up. Not in this time. Now, in 2029, maybe. maybe. maybe 2029. But I think somebody said it best. You know, I had a conversation with people, and somebody said it best. They feel if anything, Donald Trump, you know, was receive a fine, you know, pay a fine. But what good is that fine? Because if you guys have been following my channel, Donald Trump he owes a lot of people money. He owes a lot of people money in the present. So even if the sentence is a fine, when are they going to get the money? They're not going to get the money anytime soon. That's why I say people should have been focused on the main points during the election. Okay? When somebody asks you a question, Kamala Harris, don't run from it and then divert the question back at Donald Trump and use that danger. Oh, he's dangerous. No. I asked you a question because you're the vice president during the Joe Biden administration. Okay? How are you going to deal with the border security control, considering millions and millions of illegal immigrants have crossed over? How are you going to deal with that? Why? Because your president, Joe Biden, according to the press conference that was held years ago, he appointed you as well as other parties to specifically deal with the border. And your response to the victims that have lost their lives because of these of some illegal immigrants, because we've been having crime here, and that's another thing she didn't want to speak on. Okay, when it comes down to crimes in these schools, when it comes down to quote unquote GUN control. When it comes down to how is it a 14-year-old here in the state of Georgia, a 14-year-old is able to get a hold of a you-know-what and take it to school and cause a lot of problems? How? See, these are the things that people should have been focused on, right? That was the focus point. And then this is how and why I feel we have these quote-unquote Agenda 47, the 20 core promises that Donald Trump had put up. This is why. Because he saw and he sees things. But Kamala Harris, I'm going to leave her alone. But I'm going to be honest, in the beginning I said, maybe Kamala Harris would win. She should win. Why? Because $1 billion had been raised in campaign funding. $1 billion. Right? So many people supported her. I mean, why not? Here's Donald Trump. I'm going to show. Here is Donald Trump right here. Man of 91 counts of felony counts. Convicted of 34 of those 91 felony counts. Oh, Kamala Harris, she should win, hands down. But how is it now we're in this position? We're in the position of Elon Musk. Elon Musk, think about it. Of all the people, now he is going to be supposedly, if Senate allows it, now he's going to officially be part of a presidential administration, Elon Musk. Just think about that. Think about that. And how much is he worth? The week of him winning, the week of Donald Trump winning, November the 5th week, that Friday, Elon Musk became worth $300 billion of his own money. Fire Fountain says, no, he was not convicted. Fire Fountain, you tell tall tales. Because, yes, Donald Trump was convicted. Okay, he was indicted and he was found guilty. okay, in New York on 34 felony accounts. Okay? Let's not tell tales. Let's not tell those tales, right? And Imperial says he does still have appeals. People, I'm going to say this, right? And thank you guys for coming in. Let's not focus on that. Do you think Donald Trump is focusing on that? Be honest. I just want you guys to understand. Do you really think Donald Trump is focusing on this person right here, Stormy Daniels? Do you think he's focusing on her? Do you think he's focusing on this person right here, this judge? Trump is not focused on that. He's not. So this is why I feel at this point, you know, we need to look at what's really going on now in the real world. And the real world is, okay, people need to eat, right? The real world is people need to take their children and feel safe to take their kids to go to school. Not feel afraid that if I take my child to public schooling, private schooling, something's going to happen to my child. These are the focal points. The focal point should not be, oh, well, Donald Trump is getting an appeal, or Donald Trump is this. The focal point should be, right? Okay, what's going on? And I say that because look at what happened. Look at what's going on. I'm going to stroll back down for everybody that's coming in new, right? Thank you guys for coming in. If the focal point was so much important on the quote-unquote cases, why did Jack Smith, why did he drop his cases against Trump? And this supposed to have been a special prosecutor. He was appointed to specifically prosecute Donald Trump. Nothing else. Your job is nothing else. Your job is specifically not only indict Donald Trump, convict Donald Trump, and lock him up. But what happened? November the 25th, he goes to this lady right here, the judge, Washington, D.C. What does he do? Let's throw down. He asked Judge Tanya to toss the case due to a long-standing justice. He tosses it. Just look at what happened. He tosses it due to a long-standing Justice Department policy that bars the prosecution of a sitting president. And I want you guys to understand what's been going on. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I want you guys to understand what's been going on. And look at this gentleman. What was his response? That's why I say focus on the focal point. Right? Eric Adams. Since November the 5th of Donald Trump winning, right? The first thing Eric Adams does the week of November the 5th, I'm going to show that. Okay, he announces that he feels he has to discontinue all of these vouchers for the undocumented immigrants in the city of New York because they have not been receiving the federal funding. Okay? And also because, according to him, had they not stopped these vouchers and these certain funds, okay, New York would end up owing or $12 billion. And it would go back to the taxpayers of New York City. This is what Eric Adams did. That's why I say focus on the focal point. Focal point is not this. Let me bring it back. Focal point is not this. That's not the focal point. Focal point is this. I'm going to play a quick clip of Eric Adams, 2 quick clips. The first quick clip is the press conference that he did the week that Donald Trump won, the week of November the 5th. And this is fair use. Let me make sure this is fair use, ladies and gentlemen. Fair use. Make sure I want to, hold on. One moment, give me one moment.
For those migrants and asylum seekers that are already here in the country who were paroled, the proposals we put in place, including getting work authorization. The most important thing we can do for those migrants and asylum seekers that are already here in the country who were paroled into the country is give them work authorization. We said this over and over again. People should be allowed to work. Cities like Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, Houston, New York, we should not be picking up the tab of migrants and asylum seekers, which is a federal problem. And that is what we've had to do. And it's unfortunate.
Now I'm going to repeat. I'm going to play that clip one more time, just a little bit, when he said, what? Federal problem, which is a federal problem. I'm going to play this little part one more time. One more time. He said it's a federal problem. And I'm mentioning this because if we go back to the Agenda 47, shout out to Pretty Macho Mom for giving me a heads up. Okay, those 20 core promises. One of those 20 core promises, what are those 20 core promises discussing? Okay, dismantling, putting it back to the states. Because when it comes down to trusting this quote unquote federal, they're not dealing with the money right. Let's play what Eric Adams says, how it has affected the New York City of New York. And I got a bone to pick with Eric Adams because he's not clean himself, but nobody has clean hands these days in politics. Right? But I'm gonna play a little clip one more time, and thank you guys for coming in.
Be allowed to work. Cities like Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, Houston, New York, we should not be picking up the tab of migrants and asylum seekers, which is a federal problem. And that is what we've had to do. And it's unfortunate those billions of dollars taxpayers had to pay for. So many.
Now, that is what he said the week that Donald Trump won. The week. Right? Logan says, oh, and I just subbed to you. Oh, thank you so much, Logan. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for coming in. I want you guys to actually think about that. So I'm speaking on that to say, let's not delve into that sense of, well, he's going to be this, he's innocent, he's this, he's that. The focal point, like I said, the focal point is his cases are getting dropped, right? Cases are getting dropped because that's not the focal point. Play with words. Why do I say this? Why do I play the words why I say what I say? Because if Trump was getting indicted, and I want to make sure I show it to you guys. If Trump was quote unquote getting indicted, why hasn't he? Why did Jack Smith drop all of these charges? Why did he drop the appeal? Even the appeal for Friday. And hello, Junkyard. Junkyard says, bankers control everything. If they wanted to destroy Trump, they call all his business loans to decimate him. Donnie Boy's job is to usher in the digital dollar. Notice what Junkyard just said. And you have to look at the people that he's put in place. right? In his cabinet. You have to look at that, right? Because it looks as if he's putting certain people in place that he knows or he feels he can actually control. Why do I say that? I got to talk about it. Look who he put in to be over the Department of Education. Look who he put in. She's a billionaire. She's a co-founder of the World Wrestling, WWE. Right? She's the wife to Vince McMahon. Right? But she has no experience when it comes down to education other than, I'm going to highlight it. She served on the Connecticut Board of Education for 1 year. 1 year. Then she spent years on the Board of Trustees for Sacred Heart University in Connecticut. Right? But how does that have anything to do with quote unquote being, I just got to be honest, what does that have to do with quote unquote being Secretary of Education? What does that have to do with anything? And that is why I say he's putting people that he feels he can control, because one of the quote unquote promises, 20 promises, he wants to dismantle education. He wants to put it back to the states. That's what he wants. Now, is it right? I don't look. Hey, that's up for you guys to decide. Me personally, I think because of a lot of things that's been going on here in America, I don't know. Because some people feel that, children are not being taken serious and respected as far as giving proper education. They're not giving proper education here in America. I want you guys to really kind of understand where we're going with this. Why children are not being treated with respect when it comes down to the education, right? I discussed this before. Should policies be discussed in high school? Should politics be discussed in high school? Politics and discussing U.S. history are different. You can discuss U.S. history. You can discuss the constitutional amendments. You can discuss those things. But when it comes down to putting your personal opinion of how you feel about Donald Trump, that's different. Look what happened. Look what happened in Moreno Valley. A Moreno Valley teacher has been, quote unquote, placed on administrative leave. Why? Why was they placed on administrative leave? The very day after Donald Trump won, November the 6th, a teacher cussed out, lashed out on their own students in class. I highlighted what one teacher said. I'm so effing sorry. You guys, you deserve better. Look at me, you deserve better. I know a lot of Latino men on this campus, adults and students that love Donald Trump, and he's called their mothers grapes. I'm being careful with my words. Grapes. He called their fathers grapes. He called them criminals. This is not how a teacher is supposed to talk to their students in class. And why did he lash out? Because a student was wearing a Make America Great hat. You cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. Because a student was wearing a Make America Great hat, the teacher had the fair right to lash out? No. No. See, that's why I say people need to stop. Focus on the focal point. Focal point. Focal point should not be because you're upset at somebody winning and somebody losing. Focal point should be, how are you as a teacher sending the message as far as teaching goes? That should be the focal point. But it's not. Focal point is, well, Trump needs to get locked up. Focal point is, well, who cares about an education? Who cares the fact that students here, kids here in America, barely can read English, let alone speak English? Who cares about that? Who cares that a number of students and kids here can't even do arithmetic? Who cares about that? We want to talk about how we feel, who should have won and who should have lost. And thank you guys for coming in. They don't care about that. But see, like I stated, as far as the things that Donald Trump has done, the things that he said, like I said, I do concur. Donald Trump could have been careful with the words, with how he said certain things and how he says things. Yes, I agree on that. Trial on Demand says they can't even read or write script. Exactly. That should be the focal point. How is it your child? And I'll say this, how is it a lot of children today here in America, they can repeat a song like it's no tomorrow? We know a lot. We know Taylor Swift songs. We know Beyonce songs. We know Jay-Z songs. We know it word for word. Right? But do you know what the First Amendment is? Do you know what your Amendment 4 is? Your amendment, do you know the 10 amendments? Can you break that down? Let's break that down. But no, we want to break down she ain't no diva. We want to break it down. We want to break Taylor Swift down. That's what people focus on here in America, the kids. So what is Donald Trump doing now? I don't say I can agree or disagree because I'm still kind of waving a little bit on it. I'm still kind of waving on it a little bit when it comes down to, these core promises that he has put out, right? I'm wavering on it. Why am I wavering on these promises? Because of what's been going on when it comes down to his nominations. His nominations in his cabinet. That's what's making me kind of wonder, like, what is really, really going on? And give me one moment. I'm trying to find the actual promises that I wanted to read to you guys. Because just like I stated, when it comes down to Donald Trump, as far as these cases go, I don't think he's going to get, quote unquote, sentence for the other three, right? Because Florida has been dismissed. Washington, D.C., Jack Smith, he's dropping it, right? He's dropping it. New York, they're just it's been put at a halt when it comes down to the sentencing. And then Georgia, we have so much issues going on here in Georgia. We can talk about that on another level. Because Georgia, that is the only one where the district attorney has said, and I quote, this district attorney has said, and I quote, and I want to show this district attorney that I'm speaking on, Fani Willis, right? She indicted Trump and 18 of his co-defendants August of 2023 on a number of felony charges to attempt to flip the Georgia's 2020 election results. Now, with her, she said, and she won. She won her position again November the 5th. Yes. She had to go back and go back for re-election. She won again. And 68% of Fulton County voted for her to be the district attorney for another 4 years. And you know what her response was? Her response was, even after you have Jack Smith drop his cases, right? You have Florida get dismissed. You have New York in shambles as far as not knowing how to deal with this scenario as far as the sentencing process goes, with sentencing a president, for God's sakes, right? Fonnie Willis's response is, and I quote, if I have to wait 8 years, we will convict. This is her now. So her thing is, she will wait 8 years to convict Donald Trump. That's what we have to deal with here in Georgia. That's what we have to deal with here in Georgia. She said she is so confident of herself because as far as a district attorney goes, a district attorney's term is 4 years. Right? She is so confident that she will win another 4 years. She said, even if I have to wait 8 years, we will convict. Who she's talking about? Donald Trump. The big question is, what's to come? Because one thing I tell people, you can't predict. You cannot predict the future. You can do things to mold for what's to come in the future. But let's be honest, I cannot say I'll be alive in the next 8 years. I can't say, what's to come. I can mold myself to prepare for what might come, right? But I can't literally say, Donald Trump, we're going to convict him in the next 8 years. No, I can't. Come on now. Why? Because who's to say she'll still be in office in the next 8 years? Who's to say that? Who's to actually say that? Junkyard says, Graham, did she get your vote? Junkyard, you know what? You're going to get me cursing, Junkyard. You're going to get me cursing, Junkyard. You're going to get me cursing. Now, with Fonnie Willis, I can respect the fact that she is a very determined woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's very determined when she wants what she wants. Right? And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Monique says, so when get rid of Department of Education? Good luck with that. Monique, exactly. I think it's going to be hard. Especially who you have as to be the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. I hope I'm saying her name right. I know I'm not saying her name right. Now, Junkyard says, all these government departments are businesses for people to make money off of. Kevin says, 4 pleaded guilty. Denzel says, you got to admit that wait a minute, that Fanny just keeps giving us a lot of laughs. Exactly. But remember, like I stated, of what she said she will wait 8 years. Allegedly, she'll wait 8 years to convict this man, Donald Trump. But this is why people have to focus on the focal points. And the focal point should not be, lock him up, because we have so many children that are, quote unquote, here in Fulton County that are locked up and have not seen a trial date. And this is what's supposed to be Fonnie Willis's job. It's supposed to be her job. Her job is supposed to make sure that people receive trial dates. Here in Fulton County, we have people that have been locked up for 5 years and still have not seen a darn quote unquote trial date. We have people here that are teenagers in the jail, Fulton County Jail, 17 years old, right? Don't have access to get a GED, don't have access for education. If you guys been watching my lives, right, I discussed on this what's been going on in Fulton County. Department of Justice has given Fulton County, as well as the Fulton County jail sheriffs, they have given them 49 days to answer why are the people in the Fulton County jail being mistreated. And the words and the tones that was used in this statement that they released the statement, they used words, I was in tears. They used the words of discriminatory. They used the words of discriminatory. How is it the Department of Justice is coming down on Fulton County and they're calling Fulton County, and I want to make sure we're understanding what I'm saying. Okay, and Blitz, please have a good day. Yes, thank you so much. Now, I want people to understand when it comes down to Blitz, you know what? I'm gonna show you why I say what I say. Because see, you're taking it there. You are taking it on another level, Blitz, right? Because for some people, the truth hurts. But see, I have to speak. I have to speak on people that cannot have a voice. I have to speak on people like this gentleman right here, LaShawn Thompson. So you tell, and yes, you're making me take it there, and I'm going to be very, very respectful, right? You tell this man, you tell him not to be a sellout, right? You tell this man who passed away in the Fulton County jail cell, who was malnourished for 3 months in the mental health portion of the Fulton County jail, you tell him not to sell out, Blitz. You tell him that. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't tell him that because he's not here. You know where they found him? I'm going to show you how they found him. I'm going to show you what his cell looked like. See that? That's how they treat people with mental health at Fulton County. That's how they treat people who they look at as monsters. That's how they treat people with mental health. So, Mr. Bliss, you tell me who the sellout is. You tell me who the sellout is. Tell me. And this is all I can show. This is all I can show. I can't show you how LaShawn looks. I can't show you how LaShawn looks. Right? Let me tell you how LaShawn look. I can describe it for you. Safely for YouTube guidelines, YouTube purposes. I'm going to tell you how LaShawn Thompson looked when they found him in the cell. When they found him in the cell, these so-called correction officers, they were so scared to perform CPR on him based off the fact of how he looked. They were scared. So I'm gonna let you guys, drop that in. Take that with a grain of salt. So I say that to say, focal point, ladies and gentlemen. Should the focal point, quote unquote, still be worrying about if Donald Trump is going to win, and was this election fair? Should that still be the focal point? Because guess what? He doesn't have a voice. This person right here, LaShawn Thompson, he didn't have a voice. The people in Fulton County Jail understand. Let's work on resolutions. Brian says, why isn't this jail shut down? I'm going to tell you why. Brian. I'm going to tell you why it's not shut down. Because they don't want to spend no money to build another one. They say it costs too much. But boy, if you guys knew how much they spent on Donald Trump, baby. If you guys knew how much Fulton County, how much this has cost Fulton County to deal with not only Donald Trump, but the co-defendants, how much this has cost. Okay? And not only that, we had another trial here in Fulton County. If you guys knew the millions and millions of dollars. And Child on Demand says, at Brian, believe it or not, the government profits off of jails. Exactly. Especially when you become under their ownership. They only shut jails down when it's lack of staff, honestly. Still, we do need them. Now, I'm going to pin what y'all said, because this is why. Now, I'll be fair. I will be fair when it comes down to this gentleman right here. Just going to show it to you. When it comes down to the gentleman, the sheriff, okay, he's trying. He's trying very, very hard. This sheriff right here. This sheriff, Sheriff Lobbert. This sheriff, he's the sheriff of Fulton County Jail. When I tell you everything that you just said, Child on Demand, they won't help this man. This man has done everything to ask for more money. He has done everything, even so much to the point he has asked to have a new jail. He has begged for more funding. I'm going to tell you about where we are here in Fulton County. I'm going to go back to Trump. He has even said, and I can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. This is recent. He is asking for more money because he says his county, his jail cannot afford to pay the employees overtime. They can't pay them. And he said if they don't get the money, he's going to end up owing his employees 3 months of pay. I want people to understand that. And thank you so much, Junkyard. We took care of that. He's all right. Imperial says he wouldn't go to prison anyway. So this is when I say where we are. And that's why I say we need to focus on the focal point. Right? We need to focus on the focal point. Focal point should not be, as far as we got bigger issues. We got bigger problems. Brian says, well, it sounds like Fonnie Willis needs to get on her job instead of worrying of Trump. Exactly. Because there's a thing called that we can do more together than apart. We can do more together than apart. Right? And at this point, that's why I said, moving forward, what's to come? Because this person right here, I'm gonna be very nice. I'll say this before I get off of her. I'll say it this way. Do you guys see what happened when I speak of her? Do you see that? Did you guys catch that? Right? That's just how much power she has. Right? She has people like Blitz coming in. And Johnny, whatever his name was, she has so much power, right? so much power in Fulton County. And I'll even say it, so much power in the state of Georgia. I'm taking it there. Look at how people react. They call you a sellout if you speak on truths. That's what they calling me. They calling me a sellout. But look how much power she has. That's the power that she had. So much power that 68% of people in Fulton County voted for her to come back in. Mind you, this is after all this stuff been going on, not only with the Fulton County Jail, but also with what's been going on in the district office, the district attorney's office. Now, I'll be fair. With Fonnie Woolley, she walked in with a lot of mess. I'll be fair. She did. She walked in with a lot of mess. Right? She had to clean up a lot of mess. She did. I give her that. But, like I stated, has she done enough? Has she done enough is the question. And the reason I say that is because when it comes down to, let me show this guy for you, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes down to, give me one moment. Got to get my things together. When it comes down to even what happened in New York, with this gentleman. And that's not the one I want to find. Hold on. I'm sorry, you guys. Give me one moment. One moment, you guys. Brian says, sounds like a dictator. Imperial says, we need to come together to help one another and hold those who don't do their jobs and hold them accountable. Exactly. Now, when it comes down to Donald Trump, now, what he's doing, will it help? Look, only time will tell. I'm going to be honest. Only time will really, really tell. But I can tell you one thing. Some of these people that he's put into his cabinet is making me wonder. That's what it's making me. Solomon says, find in page. And give me one moment. Because I wanted to actually show, I'm going to keep it there. I wanted to actually show you guys the people that has been put into these positions. Well, I say nominated. Nominated by Donald Trump. Quote unquote, nominated by Donald Trump. Give me one moment. I'm sorry. One moment, you guys. Hold on. One moment. Okay, I'm going to keep you over here. Sorry about that. I should have had it together. One moment, you guys. I will say this. I was trying to find it. Let me see where you are. Where are you? Okay. Forget it. Now, I will say this. When it comes down to Donald Trump and the people that he's picking, right? Now, first he had picked, it seems as if that he's picking people that's part of, Day says, I like this lady, Auntie Politic. Hello, Day. How are you doing? Imperial says, on the keyboard, if you press Control key at the same time, you can find it. Oh man, thank you. I don't know what. Hold on, let me see something. If you press Control and key F, let me see something. Control key F. Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Now, when it comes down to the people that he's picking in his office, the first person I want to talk about, now we did speak on this lady. Her name is Pamela Bondi. She is the person that replaced the nomination of Matt Gaetz, okay? Now, with Pamela Bondi, yes, she has more experience to be the U.S. Attorney General than Matt Gaetz, right? But to my pickings, I did my research with her. I mean, I'm wondering, that's why I said, is Donald Trump picking people that is quote unquote, Fox News administration? Okay, Fox News administration. Because when it comes down to Pamela Bondi, when it comes down to Pete, I mean, these people that he's picking, I'm wondering. Because with her, I'm going to stroll down. Okay, we're going to talk about some people might say controversies with Pamela Bondi, right? With her, she supported Donald Trump when he had that, as Democrats and people would say, the big lie. When he said that the 2020 wasn't a fraud, election fraud with those counts, right? She supported that. This is Pamela Bondi. And that's one of the reasons I think Donald Trump nominated her. But he held off. The reason he picked Matt Gaetz first instead of her was because, if you guys can see, he donated $25,000 to her campaign. He donated $25,000, but it didn't directly come. Why are we? I apologize. I'm just passionate. When it comes down to Pamela Bondi, Donald Trump donated $25,000 to her campaign, but he donated it under his foundation. Okay, it was the Donald J. Trump Foundation, and that's one thing you're not supposed to do when you're making donations to people. As far as campaign funding goes, you're supposed to donate it from your pocket, directly from your pocket. You're not supposed to donate it through another quote unquote foundation. Okay, so she made headlines, and this was all going on in Florida. And like I put, Trump ended up later paying a $2,500 penalty fee for giving her that $25,000 donation to her campaign. Why? Because charitable organizations are not authorized to donate to political groups. Right? And with Pamela Bondi, and this is another thing I was going to mention. I'm not going to mention it in this live. She is advocating for whom? Laura Trump. Does that ring a bell? Pamela Bondi is advocating for Laura Trump to replace Senator Marco Rubio. Why? Because Trump picked Marco Rubio to be Secretary of State. But Laura Trump, just think about this. She's actually going to be, she is a possibility. She will become a senator in Florida. Now, all of this is going on, right? Pamela Bondi is advocating for someone that's related to Donald Trump, Laura Trump, to be a Senate in Florida. You can't make this up. Then also, why am I showing Pamela Bondi holding this St. Bernard? Because she got in a lot of heavy legal battle with a dog. She was involved in a custody battle. With a Hurricane Katrina victims over a St. Bernard. And this happened, she ended up adopting this dog back in 2005. And they're bringing it back up now. After Donald Trump has nominated her. They're bringing this back up. They're bringing this back up because of how she handled it. This dog, she adopted him. But the victims of Katrina, they came back to try to get the dog, and she didn't want to give the dog back. Right? The St. Bernard was separated because of the Hurricane Katrina, the storm. And it got so bad, Pamela Bondi, she started to accuse this family of neglecting the animal. But we have to remember this dog was lost in the storm. And it got to the point where the family had to sue. And it lasted over a year and a half, all over a dog. A dog. After 16 months, over a battle of the dog, Pamela Bondi, she returns this dog, and she tried to make an agreement. They agreed. She agreed she would pay for his food, pay for his medical bills for life. However, she didn't follow through with that. 2010 comes up. Family gets upset with Bondi again because she didn't follow through what she said. She didn't follow through with it. But months later, according to the owner of the dog, Doreen, she said that Bondi did not visit the dog for months and then canceled her first visitation in September. And she said, oh, she stole my dog. She's still saying all of this. Why are people bringing this back up, you wonder, right? Ask yourself these questions. And this is supposed to be the person that they're nominating to be the Attorney General. Donald Trump nominated in the place of Matt Gaetz. He's nominated Pamela Bondi. And this is a particular person. Now, I will say she did, she does hold more quote unquote credential than Matt Gaetz. I'll give her that. Yes, she does. Right? She does. I'll give her that. But this is a person that received a $25,000 donation from Donald Trump when she was running. I think it was allegedly Attorney General in Florida. Right? Then same person that got in an argument over a St. Bernard, right? And then fast forward, 2013, Tampa Bay Times reported that Pamela Bondi, she had to ask the then governor to hold off on a scheduled execution of a prisoner. Why? Why did she ask to hold off on this? Why, you ask? Because so she could attend her hometown campaign kickoff. I just want you guys to think about that. That's why she asked to have this particular event postponed. She asked the governor to reschedule it because she wanted to attend her own campaign kickoff. Now, it wasn't to ask the governor, it wasn't to quote unquote, ask for it, thinking about appealing certain things. No. She asked the governor in 2013 to postpone it so she can deal with her campaign. Now, this guy, he was wrong. I'll say this. This particular guy right here we're looking at. Now, if you're pro-life, hey. But if you knew half of the things that he did, okay, and why he was sentenced, what he was sentenced, then, you know, you might reconsider some things. I'll say it that way. You might want to reconsider some things. Now, fast forward. When it comes down to Pamela Bondi, I'm wondering, when it comes down to Donald Trump, is he nominating people based off of, you know, people that he quote unquote know, right? People that he have in that world, that circle. And when I say that world, that circle, Pamela Bondi, she has been a contributor to Fox News, right? She's previously worked under Donald Trump's first administration. That's number 2. Number 3, she was one of the defense attorneys, okay, that represented him during the trial of his first impeachment trial back in 2020, where he was found not guilty. Okay, so that's why I'm wondering, you know, like, is Donald Trump picking people like that he quote unquote knows, right? Now, moving forward, when it comes down to these people, I say, because a lot of these people, if it's not who he knows per se, it's people that are billionaires. Billionaires. And they're either the billionaires that don't have no experience, such as this lady that I talked about, Linda, okay, that's supposed to be quote unquote head of the Department of Education, right? But she has no experience. So why did he nominate her? Why nominate her? Why nominate somebody that has absolutely no experience when it comes down to making executive decisions that will play a factor to everybody's lives dealing with education? That's a heavy load. You have to ask yourself these type of questions. And that's why I say people need to think about, you know, really ask yourself, is this the move? Is this the goal? Is this the goal? Richard says she gave him $21 million. Richard, who are you saying gave? Who gave Trump $21 million? Please tell me who gave him. And Brian says she did do good on that, of course. He made the right decision. Attorney General plus. Trump don't get bashed for no hiring females. D says, yes, making American great again is the goal. I think the goal should be, because a lot of people don't like that phrase, make America great. And I think you're just new coming in. You know, some people get so upset when you say that phrase, make America great again. And I understand what Donald Trump was speaking on as far as making America great again. But I think let's take it even deeper. It should be on the topic of, how do we come to a resolution that will help America, right? How do we get to a resolution? Richard B says Vince's wife gave Donald Trump $21 million. Well, then that makes sense. That makes sense. And then, like I stated, is she still competent enough, though? See, that's why I say this is what's making me wonder when it comes down to why Donald Trump is picking certain people in certain roles. Because Richard said, Vince's wife, Linda, gave Trump $21 million. Then we can talk about Elon Musk. Elon Musk invested $70 million during Donald Trump's campaign. Brian says, but we all know you get into politics, you're not sane either. Exactly. Nobody's a saint. You're absolutely right. Richard says, didn't earn it higher. No, yeah, you're absolutely. And see, that's what makes me kind of wonder. But see, Brian said one thing. I will agree with you. You know, nobody has clean hands in politics. Nobody has clean hands. That's the part of the game. That's the part of the game. Right? As they say, get your hands dirty. But one thing I don't like about this, a lot of people will be affected, right? A lot of people will be affected because when it comes down to dismantling the education, right, as far as on a federal level, dismantling that, and you're putting it back to the states, think about what the states are going to have to do. Because I'm going to be honest. Politics, you got to get your hands dirty. Who's to say the politics on the state level not clean? Who's to say what the states will do with the money? Now, I'll be fair. I will agree. I don't really trust as far as with Donald Trump. I would agree on some levels as far as there is, some things that has been mishandled when it comes down to federal bureaucracy. I will agree with that, concur with that. But like I stated, if you guys have been watching this live, look at everything that's been going on in Georgia, Fulton County to be exact. Fulton County, so much that the Department of Justice had to come down and say there have been things that is not going on accurately and correctly in the jail system. So just think about it. If they can't even deal with the jail system here in Fulton County, who's to say what the heck they're going to do with the education funding, with the money? They can't even build a new jail. They can't even find funding to build a new jail. But guess what? They can find funding to try to get Donald Trump locked up. They can find funding to try to get to do all of this extra mess. But they can't find funding to build a jail, or they can't find funding to provide, quote unquote, even the education of the people that are in jail. Because I want people to understand, people that are in jail, they are not all over the age of 18. You do have teenagers in there. Brian says Fulton County need prayers. Yes. And this whole state need prayers. This whole country, this whole nation needs prayers. This world needs prayers. Why? Because if Donald Trump doesn't mind putting somebody in a position like this to deal with dismantling the education, all because she donated $21 million to him, I don't know what to tell you. So basically, the reason he brings her in just to say, oh, well, she's a seat holder, because we want to break down this education. We want to dismantle it. But see, somebody in the comments said it better. Good luck on that. Why? Because it still has to pass the Senate. And watch this. What is she going to do if they don't pass it? Right? Then she's really going to have a heavy load. She's really going to have a heavy load to deal with at that point. Sleepy says, we cook, chat. We're cooked. Brian says, Trump didn't need that money. Trump, and that's one thing I want people to understand. People who have money, they don't use their own money. They use other people's money. They don't use their money. That's how you get rich. You get rich by using other folks' money. Welcome to America. So I don't know. When it comes down to this education, I don't know. I have no idea. And the reason I titled it Diddy Acts, because when it comes down to Linda, what happened? When it comes down to the quote-unquote controversy, If we can remember with the WWE, there were SA allegations, right? Just like there were SA allegations against Matt Gaetz. Just like there were SA allegations against this guy. Another person that Donald Trump has nominated. Okay? And this person is Pete. I know I'm not saying his name right. Please don't get me, you guys. Pete Hegseth. Richard says, Brian told her, please do some research. She donated 21 million to his campaign. Brian says Trump didn't need that money. Molly says, if the rules shouldn't apply to your kid, they shouldn't apply to any kid. Meaning, if your child broke the law and ended up in jail, you should think they You should think they deserve it because of law and order. Wait a minute. Molly, what are you saying? Are you saying, I want to make sure I understand this, Molly. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Molly, are you saying, I just want to make sure that if a kid does something wrong, they should not get any education. They should not be fed. They should get locked up in jail, not eat, not have access to food, not have access to education, not have access to clean water. What are you saying? Because that's what's going on. What are you saying, Molly? Right? What are you saying? Because I want people to understand when it comes down to jail, I'm not saying, okay, treat them like angels. I'm not saying that, right? Nobody's perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. But my question is this, though. Who are you and me? Who are you to tell somebody they don't, just because they did something wrong, they don't get access to clean water? They don't get access to food. That's wild. That is really wild. Because if you came here in the life earlier, you would have seen the person that passed away from 3 months of malnourished. You would have seen that. Right? I just want people to understand that. Now, when it comes down to this guy, Pete, that Donald Trump nominated to be the Secretary of Defense, whatever. The question is, does he qualify? Does he qualify? And one thing I will say about Donald Trump, because his picks as far as defense secretary goes, I'll give a breakdown. The first term for this particular position, he had 5 men in this role, 5 different men during his 4 years, the first term, because of his decision of picking these people, just like this guy, Pete. Pete has picked it. Donald Trump has picked this person, and I feel that he doesn't meet the mark. He doesn't. I feel he doesn't meet the mark, and it is giving another something similar when it comes down to Diddy acts. And I said, that's why I titled it Diddy acts, because this person is, based off of his record, he's not, like, when it comes down to the type of, well, I'll say it this way. Let me be very careful. Tam says everyone is free on SA except Diddy. Child of the Man says, let's make it to 40. Liking the comment and sharing is free. It supports the creator, the content creator. If you want future content, like and subscribe. Yes, please hit that like button. Thank you so much, Cha. Tam says everyone is free on SA except Diddy. And see, that's what I want people to understand, because it seems as if a lot of these people that Donald Trump has nominated, they have been in regards to SA allegations or SA investigations. And even with him, right? Even with him, I'm gonna break it down with him. Now, some people would say he's not. He is a person that likes women, right? Because he's been married 3 times. Now, because he's been married 3 times, that's not what makes him a quote unquote ladies' man, right? It's the fact. And yes, I have to break it. I have to break it down, because that is how he got into a sticky situation with SA allegations. He got into a sticky situation. And before I get there, I'm going to break down with his education background, and I'm going to compare his background, his credentials, to the current person that holds the Secretary of Defense position, which is Lloyd Austin III. Okay, in the Joe Biden administration. Now, with Pete, his credentials are, okay, he has a master's degree in public policy. I'm going to highlight that. Public policy. He's mostly known as a co-host contributor, look at it, Fox News. And remember that I said with Pam Bondi, she also was a co-host contributor to Fox News. Donald Trump hired her, or should I say nominated her. Now with this gentleman, he's also a co-host contributor for Fox News. Richard says, what do they all have in common? I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments. But let me focus. Okay, when it comes down to Pete, he is a Fox News co-host contributor. And he's known for writing a number of books. But like I stated, does that make him credible to be the defensive secretary or Secretary of Defense? Does that make him credible? Let's move forward. Right? He's written a book. Okay, he's written a book that was #1 called what? The War on Warriors. And it was 9 weeks on the New York Times bestseller. And I'm mentioning this to let you guys know I've tried to find. And Spunky says, Pete is absolutely qualified. Brian says, do Kamala next. Spunky, when you say Pete is absolutely qualified. Richard says, a TV show host. Yes, Richard, he is a TV show host. But Spunky, hello, thank you for coming in. Spunky says, Pete is absolutely qualified. And what I'm looking at, like I'm showing you guys, he's popular. He did a book that was very known worldwide, okay, called The War on Warriors. It was on the New York Times bestseller for 9 weeks, and out of those 9 weeks, 2 of those weeks was at #1. But look, he ran to represent Minnesota, right, as U.S. Senate, but guess what? He ended up dropping out. 2014, okay, 2017, let's go. 2017, he became a co-host for Fox and Friends Weekend. And the reason I'm mentioning all this, I tried, you guys. I tried. I really, really tried it. And WD, let's educate you, sir. Let's bring that back over here, right? Let's bring that back over here, right? You want to sit there and say educated. Let's bring it back. See, it's people like you that come in, and I want to actually break it down. This is why I'm talking about this man, okay? He only has a master's degree in public policy. He's known to be a TV host on Fox News and wrote a number of books. Okay, since you want to say educate, let's educate our own selves. Because I tried to find, okay, how much of quality qualifies him, okay, to make the decisions of soldiers, of wars, make these quote unquote decisions. Let's break it down even more. WD. And just because I want to say this, just because you have held a role in the military, I'm not trying to downplay it, but I feel that the fact that Donald Trump nominated this person to be in the position that he gave him, that is a slap. That should be a slap in everybody's face that is a veteran, that's in the military, that has been in the military, that is a family of a member in the military. That should be a slap in everybody's face for Donald Trump nominating this person. A slap. Oh, I'm sorry, Ronnie. You said, "Can I wait a second?" Where are you trying to go? I was trying. No, WD got me, took it there. I'm sorry. He got me there. I'm sorry. He or she, they, it. I don't know who WD is, but they took it there. Spunky says, "You should come over to the right. Everyone is very kind over here with way more common sense, too." Ronnie says, "Just calm down." Ronnie, I apologize. I am very passionate. This person, WD took it there. When he or it or she or they or we or all, whatever it is, said that I need to educate myself, and I put my time, my sweat and tears in trying to look up Pete. And the only thing that I can find is that he has a master's degree in public policy. He is a TV host with Fox News. And I'm just going to be honest. If you can see right here, what happened in 2020-21, right? He was removed from the National Guard group that was to provide security for Joe Biden's presidential inauguration. And thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate it. Steve says, "Very smart woman that I like." Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now, I will say this with Pete. What are you talking about, Richard? Richard, I cannot. Let me, hold on. I gotta actually delete that part. Now, I will say this, when it comes down to Pete, yes, yes, he is a veteran. Are you happy? Are you happy, WD? Yes, he has served in the military, but he lacks senior military and national security experience. He lacks that. 2003, he was commissioned as infantry officer in the Army National Guard. I'm highlighting that. Serving overseas in Afghanistan and Iraq, as well as Guantanamo Bay. Right? I will give you that. Right? But I'm going to compare him to Lloyd Austin. I'm going to compare him to Lloyd Austin. Because I don't want people to make it seem like I'm trying to be nitpicking. It's not nitpicking. It's not nitpicking. And Lloyd Austin III is the current Secretary of Defense. Now let's break Lloyd J. Austin down. Let's break it down. And Song says, "No black guys on Trump's cabinet. Who is shocked? Not me." And Song says, "How do tariffs lower costs?" Now, when it comes down to tariffs, Donald Trump, he wants everything to come back here to America. He wants everything to come back in the sense that companies need to stop putting their business overseas. Okay? He wants to bring it back. And then to top it all off, he wants to charge Canada, China, all these countries. He wants to charge them the tariffs. He wants to flip it. Ronnie says, Jesus love you and he got you. And same here, Ronnie. Same here. Song says, that's not how tariffs work. So I'm break it down. How does tariffs work? Because according to Donald Trump wants to bring it back here. He wants to bring the jobs back here. First says, stop your complaining and leave the country. Nobody's complaining about the country. I love America. I love where I live. I'm sorry. I'm not like Ellen DeGeneres. I'm not like Eva Longoria. I'm not like all these so-called people that have all this money, and when they don't like when something goes their way, they run. I'm not like that. I'm not. And Song, I think you need to actually do your research when it comes down to quote unquote. And thank you so much, Cha. Ant says the importer pays the tariffs, not the exporter. Okay. Ant, let me break this down to you. Why do you think Donald Trump wants to actually bring the jobs, the manufacturers here? Why do you think that? Why? Who do you think is making more money? When you put the jobs out to the other countries, to all these other countries overseas, who do you think is making the money? Because these tariffs that you're speaking of, yes, we're paying it. Yes, we're paying it. But who's making the money? Who's making the money? And that is the most racial thing you ever said. That's a racial comment that you said. That's a stereotypical comment that you said. And I want to highlight that so everybody can see what you just said. That's a racial comment that you just said. I want people to understand, this is why you cannot judge people. You can't judge people. Because people in manufacturing, they are people too. Right? So let's not do that. Let's not make it seem one way and it's not. Let's not. And there's nothing wrong with working in a manufacturing plant. There is nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. And I commend anybody that works in a manufacturing plant. I commend anybody that has a job. Because according to what Donald Trump is saying, inflation is high. According to what Donald Trump is saying, education is horrible. That's what Donald Trump said. So I want people to understand that. So, Aunt, please open up your mind. Please. Brian says some will pay higher prices, majority won't, and that opens up opportunities to manufacture at home, bringing a lower cost and keeping money in America. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Thank you. And for that, yes. Got to. Thank you, Brian. I mean, Aunt, come on now. And Tracy says, an honest living is an honest living, period. Yes. Yes. Facts, Tracy. Thank you. So, Aunt, what are you talking about, Aunt? What are you talking about? No, you open up your mind, Aunt, because what you just stated, that was very disrespectful to everybody here in America. Because people here in America, we need to eat. People here in America, we need to live. We need to. Still says, and thank you for coming in, Still says, I used to be brainwashed by the left, but I woke up during Trump's first term. Solomon says, if you don't build, you consume. I want to build. Build. Tam says, Ellen and her wife, her mate, has a target on their backs because of who they love. Whoa. Brian says, July the 31st of 1789, Congress passed one of the third tariffs. It did benefit U.S. Tracy says, that's right. I want to eat too. Exactly. First says, we can't afford to keep sending all our money outside the country. We can't. We can't. And I'm glad that we're talking about this because with Eric Adams, he's been getting a lot of heat. He's been getting a lot of pressure. Right? Eric Adams this week made an announcement, did another press conference. And Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City. He did another press conference. He said they are doing more jobs. They're opening up more jobs, right? And it should be able to take care of billions, provide billions of dollars to taxpayers. Okay? It should be able to help keep money and funding back in the city of New York. This was a press conference that he had this week. Okay? I want people to understand that. And Child on Demand says, kick Adams out. And that's why I say with Eric, I say this. He has some stuff. He has some stuff need cleaning. Okay? Because of the indictment that he has. The indictment that he has. And what is the indictment that I'm speaking of, ladies and gentlemen? I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you. Let's go, Damien. Let's go.
My name is Damien Williams, and I'm the United States Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today we are announcing campaign finance, bribery, and conspiracy charges against Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. As the indictment alleges, Mayor Adams engaged in a long-running conspiracy in which he solicited and knowingly accepted illegal campaign contributions from foreign donors and corporations. As we allege, Mayor Adams took these contributions even though he knew they were illegal, and even though he knew these contributions were attempts by a Turkish government official and Turkish businessmen to buy influence with him. We also allege that the mayor sought and accepted well over $100,000 in luxury travel benefits from some of the same foreign actors who arranged many of the illegal campaign contributions. These benefits included free international business class flights and opulent hotels. We allege that Adams accepted these benefits.
Now, that's Eric Adams. Who is Eric Adams? If you don't know how he looks, this is Eric Adams. Right? And Eric Adams, he's trying to, I don't know what he's doing. He's trying to cover himself. You know, some people would say he's trying to cover himself. And Child on Demand says he's useless, honestly. He was for sure working with Diddy. He gave a key to the city to a man. Oh, no. Child. He gave a key to the city to a man that hurt women and also men. Let that sink in. Empathy, thank you for coming in. Empathy said Epstein was his best friend. Oh, no. No. Oh, no. So you guys, I have a question. Do you guys think Donald Trump is going to get Eric Adams off? That's a question. Because Art of War, great show, news lady. Thank you so much, Art of War. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now, I'll pin that. I have to pin that. Shout out to Art of War. I have to pin it. Now, I want people to understand, do you guys think Donald Trump will assist Eric Adams? Because, why do I say this? Paul says, no Diddy ain't. Now, the reason I ask that is because with Donald Trump, okay, he did nominate somebody to take this gentleman's place, Damien Williams. He did nominate a man by the name of Jay Clayton, who will be in the position that Damien Williams is in when it comes down to the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Jay Clayton will take that position. And with Damien Williams, if you guys know, I spoke on it. With Damien Williams, he put in his resignation, right? Because this gentleman, Jay Clayton, is the one that Donald Trump has nominated. Paul says, I like this lady talking about it. Thank you so much. And if you guys support, like I said, you can subscribe, you can hit those like buttons up, hit them up. And even more, if you support even more, you can always donate to the super chat to support the channel and support being a voice. Okay, being a voice. Hit that thumbs up. Now, I want to actually say this. When it comes down to Jay Clayton, okay, he is replacing Damien Williams. Now, when it comes down to Jay Clayton, I will say this. I don't know what's to come for Eric Adams. Okay? But I will say that Eric, it has not only been Eric has even, and I'm not sure I spoke about this to you guys. He does have a girlfriend that, you know, she had recently resigned from her position. And some are speculating because it is a fear. Quote unquote fear. Because of the recent indictment that has been placed upon Eric Adams. And the girlfriend that I'm speaking of is this lady right here. Okay? She has stepped down. And she has made a lot of people very upset in New York. Okay? And I don't know if you know who this lady is. If you're familiar with her. Okay? Who I'm speaking of. This is his alleged girlfriend. Right? And I want to give a brief on her, because during this indictment, since her boyfriend, Mayor Eric Adams of New York, the city of New York, he has been indicted, okay, officially indicted, and he's going through a lot. I'll say it that way. I'll say it that way. His girlfriend, okay, when he became mayor, she got promoted. What are the odds? What are the odds? But the thing is, when this indictment came in, let's stroll. Look what she did recently. Child of the Man says she's sticking beside him. Eric Adams' girlfriend is sticking beside him. Look what she did. She quietly retired from her 6-figure position in the education department of all places. Right? And people who knew her and know of her, guess what they said? She was making over 6 figures a year, and she was a no-show at her own job. She was a no-show. And look at how much she was making as far as 6 years. Look at what her salary was before she, quote-unquote, retired. Being a no-show, allegedly. $225,000 and $761. That's how much the city of New York was paying her. That's how much. And the lady I'm talking about is this lady right here, his girlfriend, Eric Adams' girlfriend. And with her, she worked in public school for over 30 years as a teacher, principal, and administrator. Shaw says, New York State as my home. I don't like Adams. I preferred Como. Oh, they kicked him out for the exact thing they don't hold others for. Lack of accountability. And yes, please hit that like button. Brian says, that ain't no money. Brian says $225,000 and $761 is not no money. Wait a minute. That is some money. Wait a minute. Now, when it comes down to Eric Adams' girlfriend, now these have been allegations, right? That's been hovering over both of them. But they allege that his girlfriend, she had taken trips to India, Hungary, Turkey, Jordan, Ghana, all these places with Eric Adams ever since 2016. And these were quote-unquote luxury. And according to the prosecutors, right, they're accusing Eric Adams of accepting these traveling perks worth up to $123,000. Now, some would say maybe she resigned because she don't want to end up in the predicament that her boyfriend, the mayor, Eric Adams, is in. Why? Because of this indictment. Okay. Let's look at the counts. Count 1 of conspiracy to receive campaign contributions from foreign nationals and commit wire fraud and bribery, which carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison. That's the first count. Count 2 of wire fraud, which carries another additional maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. And see, these are federal charges. I want people to understand this. These are federal charges. Count 3 and count 4 of soliciting campaign contributions from foreign nationals. And both count 3 and count 4 carry each a maximum sentence of 5 years. So that's an additional 10 years. Count 5 of soliciting and accepting a bribe. That count is an additional maximum sentence of 10 years. So let's do the math. You got, 10, that's 20. Then you have another 20, that's 40. Then you have another 5, that's 45. He's looking at 45 years. He's looking at 45 years of prison time. Now, he's looking at 45 years. And Matt says, crazy how as soon as he said no more immigrants in New York, he got hit with charges. Whoa, let's think about it. I'm going to pin that, Matt. I got to pin it. I got to pin it. As soon as he said no more immigrants, that's when all these charges. So what are you saying, Matt? What are you saying? Brian says, yeah, Adams has involved. Yes. Was involved. Yes. Bree says, Thomas and his wife have committed several crimes. The only reason not guilty is he got in. He was guilty. And Charlie Man says, please hit that like button and ring the bell, subscribe for future content. Yes, thank you so much. So this is the mayor, Eric Adams. And this is his girlfriend, not wife, girlfriend. He hadn't put a ring on it yet. But I'm talking about this to let you guys know all what's going on. And then you kind of have to ask yourself, right? You kind of have to really like why people are moving the way they're moving. You know, why they're doing certain things. Child on Demand says, yeah, after he already did damage, I'm terrified to even walk on the 5th Avenue or take the train. Whoa. And see, this is why I'm wondering now, you know, he's coming out on the forefront now, right? He's trying to come out on the forefront because he recently, like I said, he recently did a press conference trying to say that the city of New York, they are bringing more jobs back. Okay. And he also said that he wants to create opportunities for New Yorkers. That's what he said. That's what he said. And he just said that this week. But I have to wonder, you know, why people move the way they move. Is he saying that to kind of cover this that's coming up as far as this indictment goes on? Because even Matt said it himself. He said, crazy how as soon as he said no more immigrants in New York, he got hit with charges. You know, that's why, you know, we discussed this today. We discussed, you know, politics. You know, anybody can have dirty hands, right? Because that's the game of politics. If you don't like it, don't go into politics, period. Don't do it. Don't even do it. Now, when it comes down to, because it's not just Matt, that is why I was talking about, you know, some of these people that Donald Trump has nominated in his cabinet, right? Why has he put certain people in certain roles? And then, you know, what's to come with these people that he's put in these roles? You know, if Senate, you know, approves, they have to approve of it. What's to come for people like Eric Adams? What's to come for, you know, cities such as New York, cities of Atlanta, cities of Los Angeles? I'm just being honest. What's to come? China Man says, when visiting home, I'm very cautious because the crime went up, and we can't deny that. See, these are the questions people should have been discussing more, my opinion. Crime, education, inflation, jobs. Because Tracy earlier, she said it herself. She agreed. People here, we want to eat. We cannot eat, we cannot live if we're even too scared to even walk on the streets because of the high rise in crime. Come on now. Like, I mean, it's not making sense. But it's odd to me, we can send billions and billions and billions of dollars to other countries to help their wars, to help their stresses. But we cannot invest over here to help our worries here in America. So we don't mind. Wait a minute, I want to understand this. So our politicians, I'll say it that way. Our politicians don't mind investing monies to other countries, doing business with them, but we can't even do business with people here in America. We can't even make sure people are comfortable with health care. See, now do you guys understand where I'm coming from when it comes down to people need to worry about, the focal point? Because I'm going to be honest. His girlfriend, Eric Adams' girlfriend, there's no way in the world she should have received a $225,000, $761 raise. And she was known as the no-show job. Right? This is in New York City. And even with Mayor Eric Adams himself, one would say, is everything that he's doing right now moving forward, is that just to make it appear one way when it's really not? Because based off of these quote-unquote charges, okay, as far as these counts go, he's looking at maximum 45 years of federal prison time if indicted and convicted. Jeez says, why do you scream? It makes my ears bleed. I apologize. I am very passionate in what I talk about, especially when it comes down to politics, especially when it comes down to things that are happening here in the world itself, not just America, in the world itself, that plays a factor on people that do not have a voice, right? And I do feel that people here in this world, okay, that we live in, it's a lot of people that don't have a voice and that are being taken advantage of, right? Being taken advantage of. And then not even in the sense of, not educating ourselves enough. And when I say not educating ourselves, how can we not educate ourselves? How can we educate ourselves if even the educational system here in America is not just? It's not just. Even the educational system here in America itself is biased. See, these are the things that I talk about here. And like I say, we can agree to disagree when it comes down to the Agenda 47, the 20 core promises of Trump. But one thing I can say about him, it has people feathers getting fluffed and waking up, Because I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you, out of all of these 20 core promises that Donald Trump has put out there, one of these promises that I completely agree on all the way, and I dare anybody to say otherwise, is number 6. No taxes on tips. Large tax cuts for workers. Because anybody who's worked in that field where your life depended on tips, because your hourly pay of a waiter or a waitress is not even $5 an hour, you're living off of tips. What sense does it make to tax this person? Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. During this administration, they was taxing tips. Solemn says, she's not screaming, you have your volume too loud. Thank you so much, Solemn. I appreciate that. And thank you guys for coming in. Like I said, we can agree to disagree, right? We can agree to disagree on a lot of things, because some people would say Trump's number one promise should not be the point. Some people would say that, right? And his focal point, his number one focal point is to seal the border and stop migrant invasion. Matt says, and defending the Constitution, they have passed a lot of laws restricting firearms. Now, that is, for people who don't know, that's Donald Trump's core promise number 7, which is defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Now, I will say this. My opinion on this, right? And people might disagree, but my opinion on this is a place where, and this is for anybody, right? People hurt people. People hurt people. Right? Weapons don't hurt people. It's like this pencil, right? This pencil can't do anything if whoever's holding it does something, right? You can't even write with it. So that's how I feel about the right to keep and bear arms. That's how I feel. That's my personal view on that. And thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to go into the comments. Eli says, Bula watching from the ends of the earth, Fiji Islands. Love President Trump. Thank you so much, beautiful American people, for voting for President Trump. Thank you for coming in, Eli. Thank you for coming in. And shout out to the Fiji Islands. Thank you for coming in. Redacted says, Trump's new administration has his 2A stance updated from 2016. He's going to fight this unconstitutional state over. Child on Demand says 100 facts. Solomon says people making entry-level pay are losing half their paycheck to taxes. Yes. Meanwhile, we know for a fact that a lot of these government officials are working less than 3 days in the span of 2 months. Now, Solomon, I got to pin that. I got to pin it. Because you're right. And see, this is why, you know, some would say that, you know, the federal government has been mishandling a lot of funding, right? And this is why Donald Trump, we're gonna go back down. I gotta be honest. This is why he said what he said. When it comes down to dismantling the education department, when it comes down to putting things back in the state's hands, right? We have to be honest, because governmental officials, when you give them a job, I'm not gonna say all of them are not bad, but when you give them a job, they misuse the money. They misuse it. And that's happened to Eric Adams. According to this prosecutor, Eric Adams has been mishandling money to go on trips with his girlfriend. And this is the same Eric Adams I gotta be honest, this is the same Eric Adams that did a press conference stating that New York City had to cut the vouchers and cut the fundings for undocumented immigrants, because by next year, New York City is going to be looking at having to pay, the taxpayers going to have to pay out of their pockets $12 billion. But remember what Solomon said. A lot of these government, oh my goodness, oh, why do you do? Art of War says, Happy Thanksgiving. Please tell these jive turkeys. Please tell these jive turkeys to hit the like button. Not to hit the like button. The jive turkeys. Thank you so much. I didn't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be honest. I had a conversation with somebody, okay, recently. For being very, very truthful, very transparent, right? And I want to show the person that I'm talking about. I want to show this person I know some people gonna really get me with this, but I gotta show this person. Okay. I'm gonna be very, very honest. I'm gonna say it anyway when I find him. I'm gonna say it either way. I'm gonna talk about it either way. And thank you so much. Shouts out to Art of War. This person right here, Donald Trump. And people can, disagree with a lot of things, okay? But one thing I can say about, how he is with his family, because some people would say he was wrong for putting his family in his first administration, right? But he still is a father, right? And I'm speaking on that. Hold on one moment, you guys. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Now, when it comes down to Donald Trump and being a father, I'm going to bring it back to me. When Art of War said, Happy Thanksgiving, news lady, please tell these jive turkeys to hit the like button. I'm going to be very transparent, and I hope people be understanding and be fair what I'm about to have a conversation about, right? Me personally, I stopped celebrating around this time of the year because of the passing of my father, right? I have so much admiration for all the fathers that are out there that are still here today. And I say that to say, this holiday, please, cherish the ones you love. Because you never know you never know when they will not be here. And you never know when you cannot say hello to them again, or when you cannot ever say, I love you. Right? Because look how many times this man been tried. Attempts. Right? I say that to say, for you guys, whatever you do during these holidays, Thanksgiving, you go to whomever, if it's by blood or if it's not by blood, because you can have family that's not by blood, that's not related by blood. But whatever you do, tell that person how you really feel and cherish the moments that you have with somebody, because you never know what's to come the next day. And I say that to say thank you so much, Art of War. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you so much, everybody in this chat. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support that you give. And because, the support, I will say this. I might celebrate. I might I might, do that. This particular holiday. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it. Now let me calm down. Solomon says, say what you will about Elon. The line, what did you accomplish this week? Isn't something these corrupt and lazy politicians ever want to be asked accountability, and sunlight will disinfect USA. And see, I want people to understand we're not going to be able to solve all these issues, right? We're not going to be able to solve, because according to Fonnie Willis, she said she's going to be here for the next 8 years. She's going to be in her position for the next 8 years. She says she's waiting to indict, convict, and sentence Donald Trump the next 8 years. Let her tell it. And see, that's one of the reasons I want people to understand with these so-called, governmental officials, you have to actually ask yourself, are they a problem or are they a solution? Because I will use Jack Smith as an example. He was the special prosecutor that's supposed to had convicted, indicted, and sentenced Donald Trump in the states of Florida and Washington, D.C. But recently he had to drop his case in Washington, D.C. And he was appointed by this gentleman, the Attorney General Garland. And now this gentleman, his job is at a risk of losing his job. Why? Because he appointed Jack Smith, and Jack Smith's job was to do what? His job was to prosecute not only Donald Trump, but also to prosecute the co-defendants. Okay? In regards to the events that happened January the 6th. And also in regards to the false allegations of the election. And Child on Demand says, we are real over here, no fake news. Exactly, no fake news. Thank you so much. And Brian says, get your turkey on. And I appreciate, shout out to Art of War. It's so odd. You know what? My mother was talking about a turkey. And I will say, we're gonna do something different this holiday. I'll leave it at that, I'll leave it at that, because I really have not celebrated the holidays, I say it that way, since the passing of my father. Solomon says she can stay if she can actually accomplish something productive. Funny not trying to accomplish nothing productive. Jack Smith was doing, you know what? I'll say it this way. Attorney General Garland did more than Fonnie Willis. Okay? And Jack Smith, if we want to say, okay, as attorneys go and prosecutors go, Jack Smith doing more than Fonnie. You want to know why? Because Jack Smith is trying to wash his hands. Right? He don't want nothing to come back at him when it comes down to this funding. Because what people don't realize, money is going to come. Money is going to come up as far as money being owed. Because people don't do anything for free. So who's going to be paying these quote-unquote governmental officials, these prosecutors, the prosecution team? All this is coming up. Now, Jack Smith, he's in the position of, now since he's dropped the appeal for Florida, because he dropped the appeal for Florida. He's dropped the case in Washington, D.C. Now he's in a bind. Why? Because he has to hurry up. He has to hurry on up. This gentleman we're talking about, Jack Smith, he has to hurry on up with his deadline. His deadline of December the 2nd for both the election interference case and the classified documents case, that has to be closed. That has to be filled out, come to a conclusion by December the 2nd. Has to be done. Everything has a time. Why does it have to be done by December the 2nd? Because it's gonna take weeks for this to be actually reviewed and cleared. And this is how this gentleman right here, the Attorney General that actually appointed Jack Smith, the Attorney General Garland, he's in a position because now people are blaming him for waiting too late to even appoint a special counsel, a special prosecutor to indict Donald Trump and the co-defendants. So now everything is being pushed. Everything is being rushed. Everybody's getting scared. Democrats are getting scared. Look at Eric Adams, scared. Attorney General Garland, scared. Jack Smith, confused. Now, I will say this. With him dropping the case, I will say this. They did say, and I quote, the judge, they did put out that even though the case in Washington, D.C. was dropped, this particular case can be reopened. That's what they said. Okay? So it is a possibility, allegedly, supposed. I doubt it, though. I doubt it. That even though this case was dropped, it still can be reopened. But the question is, who's going to reopen it? That's the question. Who's going to waste more taxpayers' money, more time? Who's going to invest in that? Serious. Oh, and I forgot to, I got to throw this out. Shout out to Washington, D.C., because there is taxation without representation. So basically, you're paying taxes and you're not representing. Who's representing you? This is taxation without representation. So that's why I said, I don't know if this case is ever going to be reopened, but they did speculate that, and I want to be able to show it to you guys where I typed it at so you guys can actually see what I'm speaking on. Okay. I want to be able for you guys to actually see where I'm speaking on this. Okay, with the judge of Washington, D.C., Tanya, okay, her response to Jack Smith requesting to dismiss it, okay, she dismissed the election interference charges against Trump without prejudice, leaving possibility for future prosecution to reopen. But like I stated, possibility, I don't think it's going to get reopened again because it's no. I don't think. Look, we don't know though. We don't know. And let me go back into the comments. Thank you guys for coming in. Solomon says she can stay if she can actually accomplish. Yes. Scott says I am a father who lost his son to a overdose, but I made sure to give him a kiss every night before that time. And I'm gonna thank you so much, Scott. And my prayers, goes out to your family, right? Because like I stated, people need to understand, time waits for no one. And time, you can't take time back. And you can't get time back. I'll say it that way. With the ones that you cherish, you love. Even with those that you call your friends, treat them as your friends. Treat people with love. Treat people with respect. Right? And just like what Scott Richards says, he said what he did to his son. He said, I made sure to give him a kiss every night before bedtime. And Scott, like I said, my prayers goes out to you and your family. And you know, I wish nothing but positive energy your way. I really, really do. I really, really do. Child on Demand says, it's not too late. Celebrate your dad with your mom and get everything today. Oh, child. Why did I read that? Why did I read? You're right. You're absolutely right, child. Child on the Man says he would want you to celebrate with him. Oh boy, oh gosh, I'm a pin it. I gotta pin it. Thank you so much, child. Thank you for saying that. Gotta get clear my mind. Tom says Trump wasn't ruled not guilty. That's just wrong. Dropping charges doesn't show guilt and non-guilt. Tom, I know that, Tom. And if you can see what I highlighted, Tom dismissed Judge Tanya. She dismissed the election interference charges against Trump without prejudice, leaving possibility for future prosecution to reopen. I know that, Tom. Tom says they don't want to sentence a sitting president. Yes, you're absolutely right. Tom says, same as Puerto Rico, American, some of the list goes on. They should have gone full steam ahead on insurrection charges to stop Trump from running again, since you can't run if you're charged with insurrection. Whoa, Tom, you coming in, boy. Woo. Well, see, that's why I said earlier, you know, if people would have been focused, right? If people would have been focused on the more important points, right? You wouldn't have who you have as president. I'm going to just leave it at that. So at the end of the day, who are you really mad at? Are you mad at Donald Trump or are you really mad at yourself? William, thank you for coming in. Tom, thank you for coming in. William says, Jack Smith. William, you tried it. William. Jack, for all the Lulus, the Lulus out there. Jack Smith. William. Tom says, Jack Smith was the special counsel going after Trump for the document case. Now, when it comes down to Jack Smith, I really feel that they kind of, I'm gonna just be honest. I feel Jack Smith was kind of, I think they kind of used him in a way, if that makes sense, because I feel he didn't have the support that he needed. I'm going to be honest. I feel that he really didn't have it. He really did. And for him to actually come and represent cases one in Florida and then the other one at Washington, D.C., do you guys know that's heavy? That's heavy. For one man, for one special prosecutor to deal with, that's heavy. Now, when it comes down to Donald Trump, however, like I said, the focal point should now be not Jack Smith. Because I don't think, look, I'm going to be honest, after January the 20th, I'm just going to be honest, he's going to be out of a job. She might get promoted to Florida State Attorney General. She might get promoted. Okay, Judge Cannon. Her fate is in the hands as well, right? And he's definitely going to end up out of a job, my opinion. The U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland definitely going to end up out of a job. Definitely. Definitely. Hands down. And I really hate that, because he has had a longevity as far as his career goes. I hate that this, has put a dampen on his career, I do hate that. I don't like that. And Charlie Man says, let's go. Let's go. Like the live and show love. It's free, and support the channel. Subscribe for future content. Yes, please. Tammy says there wasn't a case and he isn't qualified to even try the case. Woo, Tammy. Thank you for coming in, Tammy. Now, like I stated, at this point, I want people to really focus on, what's to come after January the 20th. Right? Tom says, yeah, he's resigning before the new administration people. Yes. All of these new people that's been nominated, according to Donald Trump. All of these new people. All of these new people are coming in. So the question is now, what's to come? What's to come moving forward? That should be the focal point. Right? And if I was you guys, if I was some of these people, I would be looking at these core promises that Donald Trump called himself put in as far as what he wants. Because whether we like it or not, if you still live in America by January the 20th or after January the 20th, whether you like it or not, you will be affected. You will be affected one way or the other. Okay? So at this particular time, I want people to understand this. And Sky says, welcome aboard. Tom says, get your popcorn. And see, I want people to understand at this point, we have to, move forward. Like, what is the focal point? Where do we go? Because time waits for no one. And this particular gentleman right here, like I stated, Pete, who Donald Trump has nominated for Secretary of Defense. My personal opinion, he has a lot of worms in the can, as they say, or can of worms, as they say. Why? We're going to talk about some of the controversies in regards to him, Pete. Okay? Even though he considers himself a Christian man, right? He believes in Christianity, right? But let's look at how many times he's been married. He's been married 3 times. 3 times. First wife, Meredith. 2004, they got married. By the time they end up getting divorced, 2009. Next thing you know, he gets married again in 2010 to his second wife a year later. And within that time frame while he was married to his second wife, we got to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because this is part of the allegations that people are coming and attacking Trump for his decision on nominating this man. Why? Because of what happened within the time frame of his second marriage. It says in 2017, August 2017, while he was still married to his second wife, child, the man said 3 times a charm. While he was married, okay, to his second wife, August 2017, okay, he had a daughter with the executive producer, the executive producer of Fox. Notice what I said. While he was married to his second wife, okay, he had a daughter with the then executive producer, okay, Now, it gets even more wild. It gets even more wild. That happened in August. October. October. You can't make this up. He ends up getting in a situation with a woman that they are calling a Jane Doe. Because according to him, she made false accusations stating something called the SA. Okay? All this is coming up. All of this is coming up and about. Why? Because this Jane Doe wanted to accuse him of SA. But come to find out, according to him, he told the police, according to the police report, it was consensual. This was October of 2017. And this is how the second wife found out. Wait a minute, he's cheating. Not only did he cheat on me twice, he had a baby. And same thing, Tom, you be safe. You be safe, Tom. You have a good day. Thank you for coming in. Now, I'm mentioning this for people to understand in regards to Pete. He has, things in the past, and people are wondering, how is it all this is coming up and about in a time that Donald Trump has nominated him to become Secretary of Defense? Okay? All of this is coming up and about. Out of nowhere, it's coming up. But Donald Trump is standing beside him. No matter what, he's standing beside him. Even with these, these allegations that I will say Pete was found, they didn't even take it to trial with this Jane Doe. They didn't even take it to trial because according to the prosecutor, she said it wasn't enough information. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough information and enough evidence to move forward without a reasonable doubt. The district attorney, that is what she said. But like I stated, all this is coming up in the air and in the wind. Sky says, so the entire time while he was a host on Fox News, nothing then, all of the sudden, exactly, all of the sudden. Now people want to bring, and I want to state this, with him, and this is his current wife. This is the lady that was the executive producer of Fox News, right? She was an executive producer, but she left to spend more time with her children and her family that she has, together with him. Now, I want people to understand, none of this came about. Nobody even thought about it. Nobody even mentioned it. It was under the rug, as they say. And Pete went out of his way, paid Jane Doe for this not to come out. But there's still a thing called the police report. There's still a thing called surveillance cameras, video footage of when he was at the hotel with this married Jane Doe. Right? This is why I said Diddy acts, because even with Sean Combs, Diddy Combs, right? And this is why he paid that Jane Doe off. Pete paid Jane Doe off because he didn't want none of this coming up. He didn't want none of this coming up. But I'm telling you right now, and Pete doesn't want that. I'm going to make sure I focus in on Pete. I'm going to focus in on him. Pete doesn't want that surveillance camera, that surveillance footage coming out when he was at the hotel with this Jane Doe. Because according to an employee, with the police report, he was drunk. He was drinking with this Jane Doe. They got in a huge argument so much that he was so loud, louder than me. Employee had to come up to him and the lady to tell them to calm down and be quiet. And his words, he cursed and he says, I have freedom of speech. So I'm saying that to say, he doesn't want that footage to come out. Because when you have pictures, when you have video footage, that's when it really sinks into people. Whoa. And that's how That's how Sean Combs, Diddy, got into the situation that he's in right now. Pete doesn't want that. He doesn't. I'll tell you who else doesn't want it. Donald Trump doesn't want that either. And Sky says, seriously, hit that like button. Yes, please do. Jonathan says, okay, first off, people need to get facts straight before they go criticizing Trump. At the time he did all this stuff, the law was written to where he could do that legally. What are you talking about, Jonathan? Do what legally? What can he do legally, Jonathan? You said, okay, first off, people to get their facts straight. Okay, get your facts straight, Jonathan. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Now, I'm just saying that to actually say, when it comes down to, allegations are coming up, right? And it's kind of odd that all these allegations are coming up when Donald Trump nominates him, right? It is. But at the end of the day, I'll be fair with you, Jonathan. I'll be fair. His personal life should not play a factor. Should not play a factor if he meets the criteria. If he meets the criteria to be Secretary of Defense, I grant you that. However, next question is, what are his credentials other than being a veteran? What are his credentials? Because according to what I looked up, he has never held a position as far as senior role in the military. Okay? I just want to be honest. I have to be honest. Cal, you are wrong. But serious though, you guys are saying I'm wrong. Tell me, educate. You guys are saying all this. See, this is the problem. I want people to actually understand, right? Like I said, I'm being fair. I have to call a spade a spade. I have to be fair. Tammy says the footage has been released and it shows exactly what Pete has said. Okay, Tammy, let me break this down. Right? If it's saying what you're saying, right? Why did Pete pay her? Tammy, why did Pete pay her though? That's the question. Why? Kyle says maybe that's what we need. He has more credentials, but obviously the government needs a full overhaul. I think, Kyle, like I said, I think you're just coming in what I said earlier. I said the focal point needs to be what are we doing to move forward? Right? What are we doing to move forward? Because moving forward, right, for one, should not still be the focal point on finding ways to get Donald Trump locked up, right? That should not be the focal point. But also, the focal point, in my opinion, should not be bringing people in your administration just because you know them or they listen to you. Because Pete, I'm just going to be honest. If Pete was so innocent, he would have not paid Jane Doe anything. He would not have paid her anything. You don't pay people. You want me to tell you one person that doesn't pay people? Right? When they like to tell lies, Donald Trump don't pay people. He don't pay people. And I'm not going to mention this lady's name, but it was a lawsuit that he lost, right? He hadn't paid her nothing. And he's going for an appeal. He's fighting it. My question is why Pete paid that Jane Doe anything? He shouldn't have paid her nothing. He shouldn't have paid her nothing. At all. I wouldn't have did it. Why? Since Kyle, you want to put it out there The reason I wouldn't have paid Jane Doe anything because according to the reports, she came in, she was a married woman. She was a married woman, and I'm gonna call a spade a spade. I'm gonna call a spade at this particular point. With this allegedly, I'm gonna be honest, alleged. Okay, the woman, this Jane Doe, okay, she had a husband. They at this hotel. Okay, and let me read the comments. Tammy says she also said she had been. And her husband told the police that she showed no signs of being exactly. Tammy, I'm not arguing with you. All I'm saying is this, right? If the facts are stated, even what you're saying in the comments, Tammy, I can't repeat that, but that is why I would not have paid Jane Doe anything. I would have paid her nothing. Nothing. Look at what happened to Diddy. Diddy paid his ex-girlfriend Cassie, okay, millions of dollars. They did not disclose what it was with that lawsuit, but she asked for $30 million, right? He paid her undisclosed amount, and she had to sign, right, to not speak on things. And look what still happened to Diddy. Look what still happened. That is why you don't pay people off. You don't. Because even if you pay, it's still going to come out. You can't, how can I say this? You can't pay somebody to hide something. It's still going to come out. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Kyle says, picture being famous and rich and all over media and somebody is slandering everything you built. You say, just go away. I like what I built. Kyle says, okay, child, sorry, I didn't know. What did Charles say? Charles says, I guess all paying people. Charles says, Kyle, Lewis, so far, they're saying this about Kamala too. Look, I'm going to just leave it like that. Now, I will say this, okay? Because this is just, this is personal, right? This is personal. Okay, on the back end, I personally feel that Pete is not, I don't think he's a good candidate. That's just my personal opinion. To each his own. Just like I felt that Matt Gaetz was not a good candidate. And I do feel that when it comes down to the person that replaced Matt Gaetz, Pamela Bondi, I do feel she's more of a better candidate than Matt Gaetz. All I'm saying is I think that Donald Trump needs to pick somebody else to be in this particular position as Secretary of Defense. That's all I'm saying. Okay? That's it. Right? I think he has too much going on. Pete, he has too much going on. And somehow he always tends to mix business with pleasure. He always does this. It shows off of his record. He mixes business with pleasure and he cannot stay focused. Right? Because his record shows it. He can't stay focused. I mean, look at how many times. He was married from 2004 to 2009, first wife, then gets married again with the second wife, 2010. From 2010 to 2017, okay, he was married to the second wife. Then he gets married again with the third wife, 2019. He cannot stay focused. Simple. That's it. And as a matter of fact, I'll even use Trump as an example. Trump said it best. The best advice I've heard Trump say was from Donald Trump's son. Said it best. He said his father told him, you have to be focused. You have to be focused. Right? That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Moving forward. Now, I will say, now when it comes down to the next person that I'm going to discuss, I will hold off on it. Because it is getting late. But I will talk, and let me read the comments before I, conclude. Junkyard says, Pete going to take a pay cut taking that job. He really... Joseph said, he could just step out on his wife, but that would be ghetto. Ghetto. Kyle says, I'll say Trump 3025. James says, you got anything else to go through? Y'all can't handle y'all loss. Y'all who, James? Y'all who? What are you talking about, y'all? What is that? Cal says, but if you had everything to lose and the money to do so, wouldn't you say so? Flag, stop bothering me. No, you know why? You know why, Cal? Because this is how people get in sticky situations, right? Right? Look at all what's been going on. You know, you can't just say, here, fly, get away. You can't, because time and time again, the more money you show people that you have, the more they come for you, the more they attack. Look at what's going on to Trump. Look what happened to Trump. Then look at what's happening to Diddy. This is why you don't pay people off. If you know that you're in the right and you know these are false allegations, right? If you know this is false, whatever you do, don't pay them off. Because money does nothing but what? Cause problems when you use it in the wrong way. Right? Causes problems. That's why you don't pay people off. You don't pay them off. Now, on that note, I will conclude this. I thank you guys for coming in. Shouts out to Child on Demand. And like I stated, I always end on a positive note. Okay, because I want people to understand, I never want to have this platform be the sense that I'm pro-Kamala, I'm pro-Democrat, I'm pro-Trump, I'm pro-Republican, no. I believe everybody has a voice from all parties. I will never, and I'm going to stand on that, I will never, quote-unquote, pick a side. Because when you pick a side, that's when they come for you. Especially when, you know, nobody's perfect. Politics it's dirty. Anything in politics is dirty. It's just dirty. Dirty hands. Cal says, I'm all Trump all the way, but court costs more, and the more negative, the worse your view, especially for Trump. Now, we have to be honest, you know, with what's to come, right? And I did, and Kyle, I know you must be kind of new. You must be kind of new to this platform, because if you've been new, if all you have to do is look at my shorts, you will see where I stand. So I'm not finna sit here and explain anything. I'm not. But like I stated, at this particular point, I do support everybody. I really do. I really, really do. So it's not, like I said, I'm not gonna, and I do feel, Kyle, to agree to an extent. I feel that, you know, they came at Trump on a whole different level when they should have been focusing on more important things when it came down to policies, when it came down to what's going on here in America. Okay. So I will agree on that level. You know, things should have not gone to the level that it has gone on when it came down to, you know, trying to find a way to lock Trump up. That's just, in my personal view, like, let's focus on real issues, real things that affect us in the real world, okay? Because I'm going to be honest, Trump getting locked up and sent to prison versus not getting locked up and sent to prison, that is not going to make me or break me. That is not going to put any more money in my bank account than it already has or doesn't have. But on that note, thank you guys for coming in. Future says he downgrades his living to be president. Even his jet is, oh my goodness. Thank you guys for coming in. Shouts out to Kyle Lewis. Shout out to Junkyard. Junkyard says Graham is anti-Diddy. Shout out to Child on Demand. And Kyle, no, I am not. I promise you, Kyle is much respect. Like I stated, it is much respect. Shout out to Solomon. Shout out to Sky. Yes, shout out to Paul. Shout out to Art of War. Shout out to everybody who came to this live. Thank you so much. So much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And shout out to Tracy Talks. Shout out to Tam. Shout out to everybody that came in this platform. Thank you so much. It's much respect. And like I stated, I do, and I always try to be in the middle and to respect I respect every party. I really, really do, Kyle. There's nothing against any. I promise you. And if I do, I employ people like you, to, check me. Let me know. I employ. You know what I'm saying? And I thank you. You're not the only one. I will end it on this. And Junkyard says, have a good day, everyone. Yes. Child on Demand says, yes to the mod family. Yes. Shout out to the mod for handling your business. And I would end it by saying the quotes that I always say at the end of each live. First, always tell yourself, eliminate the if, focus on the present. Number 2, focus on self and not on others. Number 3, tell yourself, I will learn something new every day. And number 4, tell yourself, I will not get upset at what I don't have control of. And number 4, always advocate for yourself, because if you cannot advocate or speak up for yourself, who else will speak up for you? Thank you guys for coming in. Future says, if you're not for the babies living and Americans first, especially veteran, most importantly, God. That's deep, Future. Thank you so much for coming in, you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Kyle Lewis says 5, number 5. Thank God. Thank you so much, you guys. And always have a peace of mind. And this is Politic Graham. Always have a peace of mind and always be in peace. Bye.